Let's get to Dante Moore, who, I got to be honest, I don't think I could have told you what Dante Moore sounds like.
Oh, you never heard of Dante Moore soundbite?
No.
Okay.
And, I probably had, but I didn't remember. And Dante Moore talked about the quarterback competition going into fall camp.
Quarterback room is always going to be competing. Just how we are as a quarterback group. We're always going to be teaching each other, helping each other out, and making sure that we all improve, every day. But I guess I'm excited. Of course, I have many things for myself to work on and make sure I get better at. And I guess I'm excited to see what happens within this next upcoming month and get ready for the season.
Also added that quarterback competition is going to give the best quarterback, and if the best quarterback, steps up, they're going to be one that plays.
At the end of the day, the best player plays. And, of course, we have a great room. And I'm excited to keep competing and then understanding that the things I have to work on to get 1% better. But overall, we're not really worrying about ourselves right now. We're kind of worrying about how to get the team better to make sure that this is another great season.
Sounds like a guy scared of Austin Novosad.
He's looking over his shoulder, even though it's not really looking over his shoulder because he hasn't been named the starter yet. I am curious how long this takes into fall camp. I think it's the biggest storyline into the camp of, is it 2 weeks? Tomorrow, I believe.
Do you go into the first game and Lanning's like,
is it the week of the first game?
Right?
Do you play them both against Montana State?
Yes.
Do they split time?
I
know they'll both play, but is the plan going in that they both play, or is it we're blowing them out, although nothing is taken for granted after Idaho last year? Because I would have thought Dante Moore played 3 quarters against Idaho, and then they needed a 4th down conversion late to ice that game, so I digress.
That was fun.
Yeah, not fun. Fun's not the word that we use for that game. It's the biggest storyline in fall camp. Who's going to be your starting quarterback? How long does it take to name him? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Is it quickly? I'm fascinated to see how that process plays out. First time we've dealt with this in Oregon in quite some time. I mean, you had probably since an Anthony Brown, Ty Thompson kind of thing, which, God, think back to those days. That was a fun debate. Because then you have Bo came in. You knew Bo was going to be the starter. He came back. You knew he was going to start again. Gabriel was a no-doubter last year. So I think we all assume Moore will be the starter, other than one Brandon Sprague. But I'm curious how long it takes to name him the starter.
I think Moore will be the starter.
That's right. Your theory is he'll get benched at some point in the year.
I just think yes.
And then Novosad will take over.
Yeah, I got to stay on that theory.
You die on that hill. We got to die on hills.
I just think Novosad, better quarterback name.
I watched his press conference yesterday, too. We didn't pull any Austin Novosad audio. What's up with that?
Well, he's
flying under the radar.
Yeah, flying under a chip on the shoulder.
That's right.
Here was Dante Moore. He knows Dorian Moore a little bit, and he talked about the growth of one Dorian Moore.
He's grown being more vocal, especially to me with certain looks and certain things he gets. I remember when he first got here, I was doing most of the talking, of course, because he's young and he's learning things now, but we were in Texas together, and we were just out there just throwing at the high school and just, getting closer and closer. And on the flight, we got an install of our upcoming plays, and we're flying from Salt Lake to here, and we're sitting next to each other on the plane. So I'm like, all right, it's just time to quiz him. Let's see what she knows. And I'm on Snapchat drawing on a little box of the plays and trying to make sure we're both on the same page of things. But overall, just him understanding the plays now. Spring ball, you're out there playing football. You're just going through these plays, you know what's going on, but he has a full grasp of it now. So he's kind of asking me questions, making sure that I know my things now, but he's a great learner and he's very competitive.
What is the expectation for you with Dorian Moore?
It's hard to quantify, man. Part of you wants to say what you saw freshman wide receivers do last year.
Mm-hmm.
Part of you wants to say, is that realistic? Because not that many
I don't think
freshmen...
Jeremiah Smith is realistic.
No, I don't think it is
Ryan
at all.
Williams, unrealistic. I think it's... What would the next tier down from that
Well, that's
be?
the interesting part, is why is that unrealistic to you of what Ryan Williams did? Because I think their build is largely similar, and Dorian Moore was the number 1 wide receiver in the country coming out of high school. And Ryan Williams was not the number 1 wide receiver, although to be fair to him, he was in the same class as Jeremiah Smith. So it's hard to be ranked number 1 when you're coming out at the same time as that guy.
I'm not. I guess it's not impossible by any stretch, but
I'm not going to put it that level of expectation on him.
Here's the numbers for Ryan Williams: 48 catches, 865 yards, and 8 touchdowns on an 18-yard per catch average.
Yeah, look, do I think he gets to those numbers? Probably not. And I also think a lot of it depends on what they want the offense to look like this year, right? How balanced do they want to be? I think they have a ton of faith in their offensive line and what they brought in. I think they have a ton of faith in their new running back and their committee of running backs that they have behind Mekhi Hughes. And I think largely they've shown us they want to be a team that can control the line of scrimmage and run the football. And so if that ends up being the case, I don't think you're going to see jarring numbers from Dorian Moore, but everything that people are saying about him who have watched him practice, watched him throughout the spring, seen him so far in summer workouts, him and Dante Moore have been working together. Bryce Betcher had quotes about him being incredibly fast and hard to tackle in open space. I think, especially the injuries at wide receiver, he's going to be a big part of their offense.
Jeremiah Smith, 76
Yeah, that's
catches,
not happening.
1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns.
Well, he's just also a physical freak, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I think
he's
the
an NFL player.
The Ryan Williams example to me is, and Ryan Williams probably a little bit taller. I can't remember his height off the top of my head.
6 foot. He's a small, speedy guy.
Okay, so then they're very similar in size and stature. And so Jeremiah Smith is an NFL wide receiver now.
Yes.
In terms of physical build.
He's the best receiver in football.
Yes, he is not, and Dorian Moore is not that. But you had a guy who was a kind of slender build, a speed guy, jump up and make plays, run away from people, and that's the kind of role that they want Dorian Moore to have.
I think, but to your point, like the reason, I guess I shouldn't say it's impossible. I don't mean to say that. I guess I just wouldn't place that.
No, I'm not putting that because then if it's
That's a
shorter
lot
than
for a
that, then
true-
you're like, well, it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
disappointing. He didn't have 800 yards. It's like, well, if he has 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, that's a hell of a freshman year.
I just also think the system Ryan Williams is in, they like Kalen DeBoer loves to throw the football.
Loves to chuck it.
And it's not that Will Stein's offense doesn't. It's just, to your point, they like to control things a little more tempo-wise and run the football and allow those big boys up front that they recruit and transfer in to kind of dictate the game and physicality of it.
I think the role that fits him perfectly the second he gets into the offense right away is the Tez Johnson role. I think they want him to be that slot, speed demon, cook people, the nickel corner that's guarding him or the safety or the linebacker that's out there on him. He's really tough to tackle in space. I think that's the role that they envision for him right away. And then you use some of your bigger body guys, Justice Lowe a little bit bigger. Kyle Casper should be back and playing this year. Maybe as more your X and your Y wide receivers on the outside. And so I'm very curious. I think it's a big question of how does Oregon's offense look this year.
Yeah.
Is how big of an impact can Dorian Moore make right away, because they desperately need the help at wide receiver.
Tez's first year at Oregon, he had 86 catches, 1,100 yards, and 10 tutties.
That's also a tough comparison, though, too, because he had played 2 or 3 years of college football already. He wasn't a true freshman.
His first year in the Sun Belt, I don't want to use. I don't know.
He was so tiny that I wasn't surprised it took him a while to adjust to college football. He is a miniature human being.
Don't really know what kind of expectation you set, but the amount of times we have echoed his name.
Yes, he's
the uncertainty at receiver as a general group.
Right.
There is an expectation. I just don't know what numbers you place to set the expectation.
And I also don't know how creative they're going to be with him, right? I think you saw this a little bit early on with Kenyon Sadiq. They raved about him in fall camp. He wasn't quite as high a profile recruit, but I remember his freshman year, they were like giving him fly sweeps and stuff. And you're like, is that a tight end on a fly sweep? Because he was a unique athlete and they wanted to find ways to give him the ball. And I think Dorian Moore can be a little bit of that too. Do they line him up in the backfield? Do they throw screens to him? Like, I think there's different ways that you can get him involved with the offense that maybe the overall yardage numbers have a big impact, but maybe it's not all catches and receptions.